Welcome to The Culture. We rest at the pulse of the community, providing all things news, media, fashion, events, and everything that we talk about in between. Documenting our Black powerful history and amplifying our Black voices, one interview at a time. We are The Culture.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of The Culture. I'm your host, Jessica Garrett Modkins, and joining me today, I have none other than Kendra Bulluck-Major. She's the executive director and I want to say founder, I really do, of the Orange Blossom Classic. Welcome to the show, Kendra.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It is a pleasure to have you here with the Culture family. There is none other than the Orange Blossom Classic that gets every HBCU lover here in the state of Florida and beyond going. I must be honest, I remember Orange Blossom Classic with my parents and traveling with them to participate. Can you express to us some of your fond memories of the first iteration of Orange Blossom Classic?
Well, I cannot remember the Orange Blossom Classic.
Okay.
I think so the Orange Blossom Classic ended in 1978. So,
Okay.
I was 2 at the time.
Okay, but let's talk about this. I've thrown myself out there, but I remember
Jessica and I did too.
Exactly. You did dates too.
Right.
I remember the parade. I remember all of the pomp and circumstance of it. I remember how proud my parents felt when they were taking me, because my sister wasn't around then, to the games. And then it stopped. But you were able to pull this legacy of OBC back. Tell us about that trajectory of it and why was this important for you?
So I heard the stories about the Orange Blossom Classic primarily from my dad, huge, FAMU supporter, just all of the excitement. And like you said, it was so much bigger than just the football game. He talked about the parade and the Marching 100 and all of the things that would take place over the span of the week of the game. And the football game was like just one part of everything else that would happen. So I heard those stories and just one day started, doing the research. I took a trip to the Black Archives down, which is, down at the Lyric Theater. And I just wanted to really find out what it was all about. And I got to see all of these pictures and all of this memorabilia. And I just became like fascinated with it and decided to, just speak to some people, specifically started working with Commissioner. At the time, he was Councilman Oliver Gilbert with the city of Miami Gardens. And then, of course, went on to become mayor and now, of course, county commissioner. So started working with him, talking to him about what we wanted to do and just went from there. So after about 10 years of just, planning and putting together, feasibility studies, talking to the different people that, different stakeholders that were involved to see exactly what we could do. 2019, we announced the return. The game was supposed to kick off in 2020. And then, of course, COVID hit. So we had to postpone it. And so ended up kicking off in 2021 with FAMU and Jackson State. Very, very interesting time when we did that, of course, because we were not only, coming off of COVID, but just dealing with the whole Black Lives Matter movement at the time when, Deion Sanders was, of course, now named the head coach at Jackson State. So he was putting that message out there for everyone to, go to your HBCUs, go to HBCUs, go to HBCUs. So it was a really big time. Timing is always everything. And so it just took off. FAMU had just moved into the Southwestern Athletic Conference, which is the SWAC. Jackson State was already in the SWAC. So what was supposed to be a friendly matchup between two schools now ended up turning into a game that would ultimately decide who would go on to win the conference championship. and then of course represent their conference in the Celebration Bowl. So had no idea when we were putting all of that together that all of these different things would come into play around this game. And so now here we are, year 5. This is now our 5th year. And I've been calling it with the team internally. We've been saying that this is the year of grace. So yeah, we are now at year 5 of this game and looking forward to another historic matchup.
Awesome. Now, for those who still aren't too familiar with Orange Blossom Classic, tell us about the mission and the significance of what Orange Blossom Classic is.
So the Orange Blossom Classic, like we said, is a game that's steeped in history, right? It was, we started in 1933, originally ran through 1978. And it was an opportunity for HBCUs to kind of be in the spotlight. Of course, this was at a time during segregation when we really had to celebrate ourselves. And so we had a lot of athletic talent, and not just athletic talent. We had, graduates who were doctors, lawyers, so many different people. And the Orange Blossom Classic, which is the stories that I would get from my dad and others who remembered, I'm sure you got it from your parents as well, who remembered that time. It was a celebration of Black excellence in the 1960s and 1970s. And so it just, the game itself, just the history of it was just so important. And so, of course, now moving into this particular game, it's even more exciting because we have FAMU returning. They were on a 1-year hiatus last year, so they have since returned to the game for a long-term agreement that we've entered into with them. And now, of course, we have Howard University, which we are celebrating that first game, which took place in 1933. So Howard and FAMU actually kicked off the very first Orange Blossom Classic in 1933. So we're celebrating FAMU's return with their opponent being Howard. And then coincidentally, in 2023, that was the Celebration Bowl matchup. So a lot of history, a lot of tradition, and a lot of, a lot of what now is now becoming a rivalry. And FAMU and Howard actually had a rivalry when they were both in the MEAC conference. So this is nothing new, to a lot of people who follow HBCU sports, specifically HBCU football. But this game does mean a lot for a lot of reasons.
From the streets of DC to the soul of Tallahassee, from the hilltop to the highest of 7 hills, 2 HBCU giants are colliding in the 2025 Invesco QQQ Orange Blossom Classic. Howard Bison, FAMU Rattlers. This ain't just football, this is history in the making. The bands bringing that fire. The stands packed with pride. The energy can't be contained. On Saturday, August 30th at 4 p.m., Hard Rock Stadium becomes the biggest stage in HBCU football. From the tailgate to the halftime show, from the first snap to the final whistle, this is where culture takes center stage. So grab your squad, throw on your colors, and rep your school. Get your tickets and book your hotels now at orangeblossomclassic.com. The 2025 Invesco QQQ Orange Blossom Classic, built on history, fueled by pride.
Awesome. I absolutely agree. It means a lot to a lot of different people who will be traveling here to Miami to experience this.
That's what we want.
Rivalry. Yes. And so, like you said before, it's more than a football game. It is really that premier platform for HBCU excellence. And how do you see the Classic continuing to elevate HBCUs nationally?
So, we call ourselves that premier HBCU experience. And we are fortunate to be in South Florida on a holiday weekend, Labor Day. I tell the team all the time that we're kind of, even though the game has so much tradition and history, we're fairly new. When you bring something back after 40 plus years and you're up against classics like the Florida Classic and the Bayou Classic and the Magic City Classic, we're the babies of the bunch. We're the new kids on the block. But, at the same time, I'm excited about this because we have so much to offer. Again, South Florida, holidays, Labor Day weekend. So this is the place that people really want to be. So you're right. They travel in. What kind of makes us different is not only is it Miami, Miami, but it's an opportunity also for our students and our student athletes to see themselves on a national stage. We are, out of those games that I named, we're the only game that's played in an NFL stadium. And as you know, a lot of our kids, specifically kids that come from HBCUs, don't always have an opportunity to make it to that next level and play in an NFL stadium. So for many of them, this will be the first opportunity, and possibly even the last opportunity. Also, we've been fortunate to have a partnership, which again is really great, given that we are the new kids on the block. We have a partnership with ESPN. So the game is nationally televised. We have been on ESPN every year since the very first year. So not only do they have an opportunity to be in an NFL stadium, there's an opportunity to play this game on a national stage. And, it's so much more than just a football game. We have our luncheon, we have our Battle of the Bands, we have our fan fest, our concerts. There are so many things, parties and events that go on throughout the week that just make it a really special game.
It is a special game. And you did just touch on this. What are those initiatives that tie OBC and the students, the HBCU students, beyond the game? Talk to us about the scholarships, the networking, the career opportunities.
Oh, yes. So, our mission is to not only provide a financial infusion into the schools who participate in the game, but the purpose is to encourage kids from this area to think about attending HBCUs. And so we're able to do that also through participation in our scholarship fund. So those who contribute to our scholarship fund, those dollars are earmarked for students from the South Florida area who have an interest in attending either the participating HBCUs or other HBCUs. And I have, in conversation and communication with a couple of our participating schools over the years, they've told me that their enrollment, as well as, their applications, and then of course, enrollment has increased from this area. And so, we can't help but attribute that to bringing this to the kids, allowing them to see that HBCU culture right in their backyard. And so the scholarship program is one way that we, are able to give back to our students and give back to the community. But also, from a community standpoint, like you said, we have our career fair. Our theme for our career fair is Bring Your Resume to the Beach. And so with over, 30 sponsors that sponsor the game, we encourage them to bring their HR departments and participate in our career fair. We partner with Rick Beasley and the Career Source of South Florida. We partner with Teamwork Online, which is an online platform geared towards helping young students find jobs in the sports and entertainment industry. And so through those partnerships, we're able to put together a career fair that brings well over 40 employers into South Florida Labor Day weekend. And they are many times offered jobs right on the spot. So, it's a lot of excitement, a lot of partying going on, but it's also an opportunity to walk away with your dream career. And then, of course, from a community aspect, we have our Careers in Sports and Entertainment Symposium. And, like I said, everyone is not going to make it to the NFL, but we want to talk to kids about how can I be around the sport that I love and still make a living. So the Careers in Sports and Entertainment Symposium allows our students and student athletes to hear about different career paths and career opportunities in the sports and entertainment industry. And that could range everywhere from, football operations or, stadium operations to, sports marketing, sports management, a lot of different areas that they get to hear firsthand from people who are actually working in those careers.
Now, you mentioned the scholarships. If there are any viewers who are interested in donating to the scholarships for HBCU students, how would they do that?
Send us an email to scholarships@orangeblossomclassic.com.
And then we've talked about the HBCU students, and let's talk about the alumni engagement and the intergenerational opportunities that you will be offering. And we didn't even say the dates. We said it was Labor Day weekend. Right. Let's throw those dates out there and talk about how the alumni will be able to engage.
So the date for the game is August 30th, Saturday, August 30th. Our week of events kick off as early as August 26th, that Tuesday, with our career fair and our symposium. So we go from August 26th to August 30th, and then you have, of course, Labor Day weekend to enjoy South Florida, whether that be the beach, yacht parties, whatever it is you want to do. So that's the game week. As far as how our alumni are engaged, well, first of all, South Florida, from FAMU's side, has the largest concentration of alumni in the state, and so you can close your eyes and just point in any direction, and chances are you're going to point at a rattler if you're in South Florida. So they're always engaged with parties, events, different things going on. Same thing, we actually do have just a large HBCU. Not just the participating schools, but just people who enjoy HBCU culture, people who are alum of HBCUs. So they're engaged in every way. This is an event I tell people, whether you are 5 or 75, 85, there is something for everyone. And so, it's a family event from the Battle of the Bands to the game, where you could bring the kids, allow them to, be immersed in that, become immersed in that HBCU culture, get that experience firsthand. And then also, if you just want to take a girls trip, right? Just, you girls hanging out, it's an opportunity for everyone. So definitely, the alumni are always represented. Again, we have our luncheon on Friday, which has become a favorite of not just our, regular participants, but, our Divine Nine, our Greek orgs participate in our luncheon. This year, we're doing something really special where we're inviting a lot of our D9 presidents who will be with us for the weekend. And of course, as the city of Miami Gardens is the only city in the country who actually has all 9 streets named after all of the D9 organizations. So we're excited to host the presidents so that they can see their streets, tour their streets, and then, of course, also join us for the week of the game. So we're going to, from the alum, from, Greek orgs, you name it, it's something for everybody.
It is. Now, you've been doing this for a number of years now. Have you looked into what this economic impact is for South Florida?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So we, of course, partner with the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. We work with Visit Lauderdale, in the Broward area. And so, of course, they are both supporters of this game. Miami-Dade County is a huge supporter of this game, City of Miami Gardens. So they're, of course, able to do that because we bring people into the city and into the county. And, it's all about butts and seats, heads and beds, right? So we have, over the years, and again, it was really significant when we brought the game back, with it being during, just right after COVID, when a lot of, unfortunately, businesses were not thriving as much. So the timing was really, really important. And so we have estimated the economic impact to be well over $30 million to the area since we started this project. And it was needed at the time. It's always needed, but even more crucial just with coming back in 2021 post-COVID. And happy to say that we're able to use the majority of our vendors are actually minority-owned businesses that are able to work with the Classic in order to help us produce the game.
Hey, Bison Nation, this is Monica Lewis, Senior Director of Athletic Communications here at Howard University and a member of the class of 1996. And I am telling you right now that you need to be in Miami, Florida for the 2025 Invesco QQQ Orange Blossom Classic.
Come out, support the Bison family, watch us dominate the line of scrimmage, and go get some get back against FAMU.
2 of our premier institutions in HBCU culture.
And this is more than just a game.
We have some revenge. We got some business to take care of. They took care of their business back at the Celebration Bowl, but it's a whole new season. It's a whole new team, and we're going to go down to Miami, go into the Hard Rock Stadium, and handle our business as only Bison can.
And what has been your most memorable experience for OBC since its inception?
The most memorable experience. Well, you know what? So I'm a parent first. I tell people all the time, like I love the game, love community, love what I do, but most of what I do, some way, somehow, I love tying it back to my children. So I think for me, the most memorable was probably both surrounded by each of my kids. So I have two boys. So I think the first one was in 2021. My youngest son, he's like running all over the stadium. And of course, I'm working. So I'm like, okay, has anybody seen my child? And I look up and my assistant is texting me a picture. Somehow he had made his way into the locker room and he's standing there next to Dion while, Dion is giving his post-game speech. And I'm like, how did he get in there?
Oh, wow.
And if you know Dion, that was like probably the most inopportune time for a stranger to walk up in his locker room, but somehow he had embraced them and he's standing there with his arm around him while he's giving his speech. So I think that was like, when I got the picture, I'm like, okay, what? So yeah, he had managed to find his way around Hard Rock Stadium.
Love it.
Yeah. And run from his handler. And find Dion. So that was probably one of the most memorable. And that coupled with my oldest son is he's actually at FAMU and he plays on FAMU's football team. So I think, taking my work hat off, the two things I always make sure that I do post game is I'm always at the locker room, making sure I see him before they get on the bus. And I'm standing there like with all the other parents, just waiting to see my kid. And then of course, also just having an opportunity to see him run out of the tunnel. So I think those are probably my most memorable.
So as this fierce Black woman executive in the field of sports, any advice that you have for any other young students who are looking to enter into this male-dominated industry?
So the two things, one thing I would say is if this is something that you want to do, don't give up. Like I said, this was a process that we started and it took well over 10 years. And so, you're going to get a lot more no's, as you know, than you will yeses. But if it's something that you really want to do, don't give up. And while you're in that waiting period, be knowledgeable, become knowledgeable, learn as much as you possibly can. As you know, like you said, being a woman, it can be challenging when you're in a male-dominated industry. But one of the things that I found out is the one thing that they can never question you on is knowledge. So when you walk in the room and they're like, wait, you're a girl, I'm your woman. That is, usually a shock. But once you open your mouth and you're actually able to talk about, the things that they need to hear and you're able to, get the deals done, there's a different level of respect that comes with that. So, and that's something that can only be gained through knowledge. So stay knowledgeable, brush up on your craft, and don't give up are the main things I would leave with them.
What is the theme? We didn't even talk about the theme. And I absolutely love the theme this year. Tell us what the theme is and where did it come from? What was that impetus for it?
So the theme this year is built on history, fueled by pride. So, like we've said, and I love it too. I love it. I'm like, it's going to be on t-shirts everywhere. So be prepared for the OBC merch for you to see built on history, fueled by pride everywhere. But of course, like I said, this year with it being Howard University and FAMU and all of the history around that matchup. And again, this, commemorating that 1933 game. Also, so that's the historical part. And then of course, just the history of the Orange Blossom Classic as a whole. So this game was built. It was the history of the game that intrigued me so much. So bringing it back was because of the history. The fueled by pride is sometimes you just got to be crazy to say that you're going to do this, right? right? So that's just what motivates us. What motivates me, you know, something has to keep you going. So it's the pride that we see in taking something of this magnitude and being able to give it to the community and watching, you know, thousands of people enjoy it. And that's what fuels us. That's what keeps us going. So that's why we are in, like I said, year 5, which is our year of grace, because of that pride. So built on history, fueled by pride.
Awesome. You know, I'm gonna have a t-shirt.
Yes.
T-shirt and everything else that you have with that on it. That is just a great thing. The press conference was a huge success. Let's touch on that before we leave. You had both coaches there. Tell the culture family who was not able to attend what they missed.
Oh, yes. So, guys, the press conference was absolutely electrifying. It was an opportunity to hear from these coaches who, you know, have worked together in the past, who all have Florida ties. Coach Colsey actually is a South Florida guy. He's from down south. And then, of course, Coach Larry Scott is from Sebring, Florida, but has been here before, lived in South Florida as an assistant coach at the University of Miami. So both of them, not strangers to this area, coming back to South Florida to coach against each other this year, of course, with Coach Colsey being the head coach. When in 2023, he was an assistant at FAMU, and now being the head coach, coaching against Howard. So very exciting with the two of them. Excited, of course, about the, you know, Howard saying that they're ready to, you know, get some. Howard leads the series, so they're ready to turn the tables, I guess you could say, and show FAMU what they're made of. So it was great to hear from them. Of course, we had an opportunity to announce our new partners this year. So, you know, we are now the Invesco QQQ Orange Blossom Classic. And what that means for the game is Invesco, they're a wealth management firm. So what they're now going to do is start talking to our students and our student athletes about building wealth, generational wealth at a very young age. So of course, we're living in a world now where in the sports world, where NIL, name, image, and likeness deals are, you know, you've got 18 or 19-year-olds making more money than, not gonna date ourselves again, but us.
Right. Please,
our age group. And so having a company like Invesco, they're able to have conversations about what that looks like and how do you start now allowing these NIL opportunities to work for you. And so they're going to be putting together a lot of programming for our students and student athletes that will, you know, things that'll stay with them very long term. So we'll be doing some professional business combines with them. So really excited about that. You know, we of course welcomed back many of our other partners that I just mentioned, Miami-Dade County, City of Miami Gardens. We welcomed back Allstate, Mars Wrigley. We are our official candy bar of the Orange Blossom Classic is Snickers. Denny's is still a partner of ours as well. So we were able to welcome back a lot of those partners, returning partners, and welcome some new partners. And all of this was at our press conference on Wednesday.
Yay. Now, closing thoughts and any other actionable items you would like for the culture family to make sure that they do, like buy a ticket, sweets.
That's it. Yes. Yes. Tickets, sweets, everything is on sale. We want you to come out, support this game. Again, yes, it is about football. It's about fun. It's about excitement, but it's also about what it does for our community and what it does for our students and our student athletes. And you will hear me say students and student athletes over and over and over and over again. But that is what this is about, allowing them to see themselves on a national stage, allowing them to play this game in an NFL stadium. So I tell people, you know, I will talk about our corporate partners and I'll talk about our sponsors, but every person who purchases a ticket, you are a partner, you are a donor. It goes to support this mission and to make sure that this game is around for a very long time. So, actionable items is get your tickets, orangeblossomclassic.com. Get your seats, orangeblossomclassic.com.
Yeah. Thank you, Kendra, for joining us. We've got to bring you back before the game. I believe there may be other things that we need to talk about and touch on. So we'll have to bring you back. And Culture Family, you weren't able to make it to the press conference. And for those of you who don't know what Orange Blossom Classic looks like, go ahead and check out this reel, and we'll see you next time for another edition of The Culture right here.
The Culture is produced and owned by Hip